Robots operate in all sorts of less than ideal network conditions. As open source robotics software, Viam designed a system architecture using gRPC and WebRTC to help machines and other robots communicate more reliably. You can use the Viam web app to control your machines, or the Viam SDK for you to interact with your machine's components and services. But if you want to explore what's happening behind the scenes, let's use Viam's gRPC API to control this rover in real time. Before we get started, make sure that you have a machine set up and running in the Viam app, and that you're logged into Postman. This is where we'll be running our API calls. In Postman, we're in one of the Viam public workspaces. I'll drop a link in the description below, but if you're in Postman, you can also search for Viam, and we'll be working in the workspace called Viam examples. The first thing that you'll need to do is fork the collection and environment, if you're using one, to your own workspace so that you can start making edits and making API calls. You'll give your fork a label and then move it to the workspace where you want to be doing work. I've already done this step here. Let's move over to my personal workspace, where I've already forked this collection called Spin a Viam Rover. And if this video is going a little bit too fast, you can check out the description for the collection and also the requests for more details about each step. The first thing that we'll need is to update our Postman variables. So let's go to our collection and tab over to variables. You can see we'll need our app URL, API key ID, and machine URL. Let's go over to the Viam app and find that information. So here's our live machine. If we tab over to the Connect tab and open one of the language SDKs down below, toggle on Include Secret. Viam will substitute in your API key ID, and also your machine URL. So copy this information to your clipboard and then paste them into Postman, either as your collection variable value or environment variable values. And make sure you hit save. Now that we've updated our credentials, let's step through each of these calls one by one. The first one is a gRPC auth service that authenticates us to the Viam app with a payload that we'll be sending that includes our API key and API key ID. So let's invoke that method, and we can see an access token is returned. And we can copy and paste this to our clipboard, but I see this scripts tab here has additional JavaScript that is setting a collection variable called app_access_token. So let's check that that happened. Go to the collection, under variables. Here's our new app access token so that we can reuse it later. Let's close some tabs and move on to step 2. External auth service. This is another time that we're going to authorize, and this time we're authenticating to our machine. So the payload looks slightly different. It's reading in machine_URL from our collection variable, and let's invoke this method to return a different access token. And if we've learned what we've learned from the first request, we should have a new collection variable called machine_access_token. Let's check it out. There it is. Okay. So we have our machine access token that will include with every request to our machine when we want to control our machine. Let's close some of these tabs and move on to step 3. This time we're making a call to our machine URL on port 8080. We're going to be using a service called robot service resource names method. And this time under authorization, you can see that we've set it up so that Postman will include the bearer token, machine access token using the bearer syntax with this call. So let's invoke this method, and we can see an array of resources associated with our machine. So these are the different components, and we will be interested in the name property. So for some of the other gRPC services that we'll need the name of our resource. So let's copy this to our clipboard, because I know in the next call, we're going to be making our base spin. So let's see what that looks like. Once again, we're making a call to our machine on port 8080. Base service method is spin. We have our authorization already set up. And our message is going to take angle degrees per angle. I've worked with this API before, so I know that extra is optional. And the name of our resource is going to be called Viam_base. Your machine that you're working with might have a different name. So make sure you have all that information filled out in the message, and let's make our base spin. Oh. Okay, so probably shouldn't have done that on the table. Probably should have put it on the floor. So you can control your machines from the Viam web app or use the Viam SDKs to write the control code for your machines. But if you wanted to explore the underlying APIs or script a one-off programmatic sequence of API calls, you can use Viam's gRPC API.